पीयूष उत्पीत कर्णपुटे पिबन्त्य शावास्नतु स्तनपय कवलास्मतस्थु गोविन्दमात्मनि दृशाश्रुकला स्पृशन्त्य. Using their upraised ears as a vessels, the cow are drinking the nectar of the flute song flowing out of Krishna's mouth. The cows, their mouth full of milk from their mother's moist nipples, stand still as they take Govinda within themselves through their tear-filled eyes and embrace them within their hearts. प्रायो बताम्ब विहगा मुनयो वनेस्मिन् कृष्णे क्षितं तदुदितं कलवेणुगीतम् आरुह्य ये द्रुमभुजान् रुचिरा प्रवालान् शृण्वन्ति मीलितदृशो विगतान्यवाच. O mother, in this forest all the birds have risen onto the beautiful branches of the trees to see Krishna. With closed eyes, they are simply listening in silence to the sweet vibration of his flute. And they are now not attracted by any other sound. Surely these birds are on the same level as great sages. नदयस्तदा तदुपधार्य मुकुन्दगीतम् आवर्तलक्षितमनोभव भग्नवेगा आलिङ्गनस्थगितम् ऊर्मिमुजे मुरारे गृह्णन्ति पादयुगलं कमलोपहारा. When the rivers hear the flute songs of Krishna, their minds begin to desire him, and thus the flow of their currents is broken and their waters are agitated, moving around in whirlpools. Then with the arms of their waves and rivers embrace Murari's lotus feet and holding on to them, present offering of lotus flower. दृष्ट्वा पतेव्रज पशून् सह रामगोपे सञ्चारयन्तं मनुवेणुमुदीरयन्तं प्रेम प्रवृत्त उदितः कुसुमावलीभिः सख्युव्यधात स्ववपुषाम्बुद आतपत्रम्. In the company of Balram and the cowherd boys, Lord Krishna is continually vibrating his flute as he herds all the animals of Raja, even under the full heat of the summer sun. Seeing this, the cloud in the sky has expanded himself out of love. He is rising high and constructing out of his own body with his multitude of flower-like droplets of water an umbrella for the sake of his friend. Purna Pulinda Urugaya Padambajaraga Srikankumena Daita Sanamanditena Taddarshana Smararuja Srutarnu Shesritena Stura Rushitena Limpantanan Kucheshu Juhustadadhim. The above origin women of the Vrindavan area become disturbed by lust when they see the grass marked with reddish kumkum powder endowed with the color of Krishna's lotus feet. This powder originally decorated the breast of his beloved, and when the aborigine women smear it on their face and breast, they feel fully satisfied and give up all their anxiety. Antyamar त्रिरबला हरिदासवर्या यत्रामकृष्ण चरण स्पर्श प्रमोदः मानं तनोति सह गोगणयोस्तयो यत् पानीयसूयवसख कंदर कंदमूले. Of all the devotees, this Govardhan hill is the best. O my friend, this hill supplies Krishna and Balrams along with their cows, cowherd friends, with all kind of necessities, water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruit, flowers, vegetables. In this way, the hills offer respect to the Lord. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balram, Govardhan hills appears very jubilant. गागोपकेरनुवनं नयतोरुदार वेणुस्वने कल्पदे स्तनुभ्रूत्सु सख्यः स्पन्दनं गतिमतां पुलकस्तरूणां नियोगपाशकृत लक्षणयो विचित्रम्. My dear friends, as Krishna and Balram pass through the forest with their cowherd friends, leading their cows, they carry ropes to bind the cows' rear legs at the time of milking. When Lord Krishna play on his flute, the sweet music causes the moving living entity to become stunned and non-moving trees to tremble with ecstasy. These things are certainly very wonderful. एवं विद्या भगवतो या वृन्दावनचारिणः वर्णयन्तो मिथो गोप्य क्रियास्तन्मयतां ययुः. Thus narrating to the another the playful pastime of the Supreme Personality of Goddess as he wandered about in the Vrindavan forest, the gopis become fully absorbed in thoughts of him. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki jai ho. Thank you, Prabhuji, for Dandavat Pranam. Wonderful seva.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. Before we start the recap, we'll have the invocation prayers. I welcome all the devotees to today's session. Om Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुक्तपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवान् च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागण रघुनाथान्वितं तं तो जीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Now we'll offer our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurati Senam. O most beneficent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani and you are widely distributing the pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Vannam Tisa Krishnam Sangopangostra Parsadam Yagye Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Shastra Vicharanake Nipuno, Sadharma Samstapako, Lokanam Hitakarino, Tribhuvane Manya Saranya Karo, Radha Krishna Padara Vinda Bhajana, Nandena Mattaliko, Bande Rupa Sanatana Ravujugo, Sri Jiva Gopalako. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the divine couple Sri Radha and Krishna. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् अष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Once again, I welcome all the devotees to the today's session. And before we start our lesson 56 today, 55 today, let us have the recap by Mataji.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are going to begin with the recap for yesterday's lesson. Since I only have 15 minutes or 20 minutes, so I will be rushing through this recap as well as asking very important questions only. Rest all will be, if there is more time, then we can come back. So I'm starting with the fourth slide over here, which you can see. So Uddipana has been explained. So what are the different Uddipanas? If anyone can tell very fast, what are the different Uddipanas which bring about? See, here we say Uddipana.
Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji, excitement of love.
Yeah, but what are the different Uddipanas described? Here we saw, in the previous slide, we saw that water was translucid, wind was very cool because it was blowing on the lake, and it was fragrant because of the lotuses blooming. So these are all Uddipanas, right? Stimulants.
Yes,
So
yes,
now here in this slide, you have, what is the Uddipana you have here? You have the hills resounding because of the multitude of bees and birds and the flowering trees. The flower trees, okay? So that is the Uddipana. That is a stimulant. So this is the description of the Vrindavan forest, which is like a stimulant because it's going to, in future, bring about Rasa Leela. So right now, this is the Uddipana. This is making you remind you of something is going to come soon. So that is the Uddipana. Okay, then Madhupati has two meanings. Anyone can tell?
Madhupati has come for the Lord Krishna, this master of spring season.
Two meanings. Here, double meaning. What is the double meaning?
The Lord of the Yadus.
Yes, here there is a double meaning is intended.
It
You
is,
can see my cursor.
yeah, being intoxicated at that time and being intoxicator. Being
Yeah,
intoxicated and being intoxicator.
Correct. These are the two. Because why? Because Krishna is an intoxicator, everybody knows. He is Madan Mohan and all that. He's intoxicator. But right now he is getting intoxicated by the beauty of Vrindavan forest. Okay. Why is it said that Venu Gita came only from Krishna's flute? Last line. Why is it said like that? Only from Krishna's flute. Also, covered birds all were there. No?
Because only Krishna is playing the flute.
Very good. Because only Krishna was playing the flute. Very good. Excellent. So, I hope I can go to the next page. Okay. In this slide, what is Paroksham as per Sanatan Goswami and Jiva Goswami? What is the meaning of Paroksham?
Not in front of you, out of sight.
Out of sight. Very good. The Paroksham here, it means clandestinely, only to the gopis only, and without being directly present. Okay, very good. Excellent. So we go to the next slide. So here the gopis are beginning to talk about the Venu Gita, about how Krishna plays the flute. Then in this slide number 7, we are slide number 6. Slide number 6. This is a very important slide as Prabhu described. So Krishna's beauty is described here as he's entering Vrindavan forest. So what was he wearing on his head?
Peacock feather.
Peacock feather ornament.
Yes, head ornament made of peacock feather, tail feathers. And then what was he wearing on his ears?
Karnika flowers.
Karnikara flower.
Very good. On his neck?
Vaijayanti mala.
Vajanti mala.
Vajanti mala.
Okay, on his lips?
Flute.
Flute, very good. Excellent. So why did he directly not name the gopis? The last line. Why did he not directly name the gopis?
Out of shyness.
Out of shyness. Very good. Excellent. So we go to the next shloka, next page. Karnikara here is singular, right? And Karnayo is plural. So what does this imply? What does this emphasize? What does
That
it
he wore one Karnikar flower in the left and on the right ear. So both the ears, one flower.
Sometimes on the left and sometimes on the right, isn't it? Sometimes he put it on, wore one Karnikara flower on the left and sometimes on the right. So what is he expressing like this? He's expressing the intoxication of his youth, and also Prabhu, this is not in the slide now. Prabhu explained that. Why was he doing this? Putting one flower here and one flower sometimes on the left, sometimes on the right. What was he indicating to the gopis? Anybody remembers?
The present place of
Very
meeting.
good. Very, very good. So he was indicating the place of meeting the next day. Very, very good. So though the flute is non-living, how could it madden the three worlds? Here you can see where I'm putting my cursor. Though the flute is non-living, how could it madden the three worlds?
Krishna's nectar is flowing through them.
Touch of Krishna's lips. Touch of Krishna's lips, nectar of Krishna's lips brought it to life. Although it's non-living, because the nectar of Krishna's lips brought it to life. Brought it to life. Very good. So we will go to the next. So is it suitable to mention Balaramji also was playing the flute along with Krishna?
It's not suitable that Balramji.
It's not suitable. But then what is given here by Sanatana Goswami?
It is not suitable that Balramji be described when describing Krishna's flute attracting the gopis. Mentioning him adds special beauty.
Yeah, although it is not good, it is not suitable, but adding it adds a special beauty. Special beauty. Yes, very good. So here here gopis are telling Krishna and Balaram both are playing the flute. So actually only Krishna is playing the flute, we saw. Then why are they saying like that? This adds a special beauty, it says. So then we'll go to the slide number 9. How did Krishna and Balaram decorate themselves while singing and dancing? And how were the gopis planning to see them? How are they going to see them, and how are they dressed? So you have here how are they dressed, and this is slide number 9. Is it in this? I think it's in this, sorry, slide number 11.
Dressed in charming variety of garments. And this is the question. Upon which their garlands rest, decorating themselves with peacock feathers, lotuses, lilies, newly grown mango sprouts, and
Yes,
cluster
yes.
of flowers buds.
Yes, correct. This is in which slide, Mataji, you are reading from?
This
Yeah.
is 8.
11, Mataji.
11.
No,
11.
Correct.
But
no?
I am not seeing.
You're not seeing?
Yeah.
So something is wrong.
No, no, it is there. The slide 11 is there.
Yes, Mataji, it is there. 11 slide number.
Okay, it's in this slide, no?
Very
Yes,
big.
yes.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
This, I think.
They were decorating themselves with tender mango leaves, sprouts, and peacock feathers. And their hair was lotus buds over their ears, and they placed a lotus in the right hand and a garland around their necks. So, how were they planning to see them, the gopis? The gopis were planning to see them, therefore, while remaining concealed, we can peer through the leaves of the creepers. So, they wanted to go to the forest and they wanted to hide themselves and see from the creepers, from the leaves. There's a picture also, there's a very beautiful painting which depicts this, where the gopis are looking through the leaves. Their faces also are greenish and they're looking through the leaves. Nobody can make out they're looking. So this is what they were planning to do. They were planning to go and look at Krishna Balaram through the leaves. Then why did the gopis envy Krishna's flute?
Because
gopis. Sorry. Go Mataji.
because it is always with him and they have to hide and they can go directly.
Yes. And anyone else?
The flutes, Gopi were thinking that the flute is non-living, and it is non-living because due to some not more wise karma, and we are Krishna is Gopa and we are Gopi. Even then, we can't touch can't touch the lips of Krishna, and
Yes.
this flute is always taking nectar of
Krishna, correct. Krishna's lips. Very good. So
It enjoys independently by its own will.
yes, correct. Very nice. So actually, they were looking at the flute, and they were also looking at Krishna's lips very carefully. And they were looking, oh, Krishna's lips are still very juicy, and that means they are not dried up. That means the flute did not enjoy at all. That's what they are thinking. So some of them, and then they are thinking that, but what to do? Only a little bit is left for us. Like this, they are also thinking that the fruit has drank all the nectar, and only little bit is left for us. So that is also they were thinking in one way. All right. So then go to the next. How do the gopis manifest the sanchari bhav of envy, which has arisen from their intense love for Krishna? The last part.
Gopi are thinking that to hide the flute of Krishna because they are envious of flute.
Yes.
So,
yes, seeing the flute was enjoying Krishna's lips, what happened? The gopis were thinking that we should hide the flute. So that is how their Sanchari Bhav has been arisen from their envy has arisen from the intense love for Krishna. So they're thinking the flute is their enemy. So they want to hide the flute now. So we come to the 15th, where why do the gopis call Krishna as the son of Devaki?
Because one name of the Yashoda Mata is also Devaki.
Yes. Where is it mentioned?
The wife of Nanda had two names, Yashoda and also Devaki.
Where is it mentioned?
Brihad Vishnu Puran.
Yes, Brihad Vishnu Puran. Very good. So we go to the 17th slide, because here again, description of the flute. So here, the impact. How do the gopis compare their husbands to the deer and the high-born demigods?
बिकॉज डियर जो है वो अपनी वाइफ हरिणी को भगवान की सेवा में आगे ले जाते हैं,
Yes.
मगर गोपी सोचते कि हमारे हस्बैंड कैसे है कि ना बोलते हैं, नहीं जाने देते हैं, कृष्ण की सेवा करने नहीं देते हैं, वो दे आर
Yes.
स्टॉपिंग अस टू
Yes.
डू डिवोशनल सर्विस.
And about the demigods? It's in the next slide. Yeah, yeah. About the demigods, how do they compare their husbands to the demigods? See, last line. Thus, the low-born deer and high-born wives of the demigods are very fortunate. We are poor humans. So why they are fortunate?
Take their wife with them, and they don't stop them going.
Yes, they
They
don't
were
stop.
believers. Yeah.
Yeah. The bewildered celestial damsels depicted here are showing the symptoms of ecstatic transformation. When a heroine sees, remembers
They are
or
not
hears the words
envious.
of the hero, so she
And they are
handles
not.
association, right? So what happens then? The intelligent demigods, although noting the condition of the wives, do not become envious.
Envious.
Yes. So rather than they think themselves most fortunate, they regularly take their wives along to see Krishna in Vrindavan. But our husbands are envious. So that's what they're comparing. The demigods' wives, and they're comparing their husbands. So let's see, 19th. So what is the difference between the cows and the deer and demigods? Now, deer and demigods, we saw deer and demigods. Now we are going to see what is the difference between the cows and these deer and demigods. How do the cows react? They simply stand.
They stand. Sorry, Mataji.
Yeah, please tell. Harsha Mataji.
The cows simply stand stunned, even though the calves were with them.
Yeah. So, what is the difference? The deer and the heavenly woman heard the flute and saw his form. But what about the cows? They simply on hearing
the flute
only
develop love. That is the difference between them.
That's the difference between them. That means the cows have not even seen Krishna completely. They are just hearing. They are far away. They are hearing this flute. But just by hearing the flute only, they are showing symptoms of love. Whereas deer and the demigod's wives, they have already seen Krishna also. They have heard, but they also seen Krishna. So that is the difference. Okay. So how do the birds respond to Krishna's flute? Is it in this or 21? 20.
सारे बर्ड्स जो थे वो वन्यन ट्री के टॉप पे बैठ के भगवान की फ्लूट का ध्यान कर रहे थे, सुन रहे थे, और ऐसे लग रहे थे जैसे वो एक बड़े बड़े सेजिस हो.
हाँ, और एक क्या कर रहे थे?
फ्लूट को सुन रहे थे.
हाँ, और वो ऐसे बैठे थे कि जैसे
सेजिस बैठे.
हाँ, और वो गिर ना जाए इसके लिए वो क्या कर रहे थे? See the last line. Yeah. Indeed, Sakhi, the birds are so moved by the unique blissful sound that in their ecstasy they close their eyes and cling to the branches and avoid falling from the trees. ऐसे वो पकड़ के बैठे थे एकदम जोर से कि वो कहीं गिर ना जाए, है ना? And now about the rivers. The rivers कैसे react कर रहे थे? How were the rivers reacting to Krishna's sound of the flute?
The
Even
rivers hear the flute song, their minds begin to desire him, and thus the flow of the currents is broken and the waters are agitated, moving around in whirlpools.
yes. So though their minds was so attracted of the rivers that the water started becoming agitated and वो बोलते हैं ना फिर कि क्या बोलते हैं whirlpool को हिंदी में फिर नहीं क्या ऐसे होता है ना
हम तो वमल
वो-
बोलते हैं, वमल।
हाँ भंवर बोलते हैं ना भंवर
भंवर भंवर
भंवर
हाँ।
हाँ भंवर में भंवर बन जाते हैं इतना उनमें करंट आ जाता है उसमें एजिटेशन हो जाता है and with the arms of their waves the rivers were embracing Krishna's lotus feet holding on to them and what they were doing they were presenting offerings of lotus flowers so जो भी lotus flowers थे they were offering to Krishna so imagine Krishna's lotus flowers being embraced by the rivers and then all the lotus flowers are falling on his feet such a beautiful sight. Then we go to next 23. Here, how is the cloud considered more fortunate than the gopis themselves? First of all, the cloud is a friend to Krishna because he has the same color, right? Then the cloud is making like an umbrella out of its body. And that umbrella is made up of what? Water droplets. So then out of friendship, the cloud is offering its own body or its whole treasure. And so the cloud is making like an umbrella from its own body and for our dear friend and is expressing this prema by dropping water. So the cloud does not shed tears of sorrow by rain, but sheds tears of bliss. So the cloud is most fortunate and we are unfortunate because we can't even see him sufficiently. Now cloud is totally, he's protecting Krishna from sunlight and all the drops of its love are falling on top of Krishna, is covering Krishna with his full love. So he's associating with Krishna so closely and we can hardly even see him. That's what the gopis are saying. So we'll go to the next slide. '27. Because this is all the same. So we'll go quickly, we don't have time. What is the impact of the Venu Gita on the moving and non-moving creatures?
यस मदन, जो मूविंग है वो डोलने लगते हैं
हाँ।
और जो अनमूविंग है वो स्टन हो जाते हैं।
नहीं, जो मूव कर सकते हैं
Moving the things
वो
which are
खुद से-
moving.
हाँ
Then
जो मूव कर
the
सकते हैं वो
mom-
स्टंड हो जाते हैं
हाँ।
और वो दूसरे जो हैं नॉन मूविंग वो
हाँ।
वो भी एक तरह से हलचल जो होता है उनमें कुछ ऐसे लगता
So
है।
moving creatures become stunned like plants, become normal moving creatures like cows and birds and all that, they become stunned like plants. And non-moving creatures like trees, they start horripilating and they shiver like moving creatures. So they show the opposite qualities, are seen, opposite qualities. So we go to the next one. Here in this, we see what is Niryoga Pasha. What is the meaning of Niryoga Pasha?
जब
It's
गांव से हम मिल्क निकालते हैं तब उनके पीछे के दो पैरों को बांधने का जो रस्सी होता है उसको नियोग पाश कहते हैं।
Yes, but what is this Niryog Pasha? How do they carry? Sometimes Krishna Balaram, how do they carry it with them?
हाँ, कभी कभी वो सर पे बांध लेते थे और फिर
Yes.
उस पे फ्लावर्स और पत्ते, आम के पेड़ के पत्ते वगैरह को डेकोरेट करके उसका एक क्राउन जैसा बना लेते थे।
Yes, very good. So they decorated themselves with that Niryoga Pasha. And then we go to the last one. Last is what do gopis say is their nature? What do gopis say? This is our nature. What can we do? What does gopis say? What is their nature? You see it's here.
the gopis in that cowherd woman. This absorption in Krishna was their very nature.
Yes, absorption in Krishna is their very nature. So singing of Krishna and being constantly meditating upon him, being in full ecstasy, all these things, overcoming with intense sorrow because of separation, then showing the fire of prema, all these things are indication that the cowherd women are absorbed in Krishna, and that is their very nature. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Over to you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. We had to rush up today because today's class, I also have 30 slides. And like yesterday, I rushed up. Today also, let us see what happens. But this is also very interesting story which is coming up. Well, now here in this story, Krishna steals the garments of the young unmarried gopis. Here we'll see in the previous chapter, that is chapter 21, in last lesson 54, we learnt about the Purbaraga of the unmarried gopis. Now today we'll see the Purbaraga of the unmarried gopis. Which unmarried gopis? The Nitya Siddha gopis. Nitya Siddha means eternally perfect gopis, like Dhyana. Now, in this group, the Sadhana Siddha gopis, they are not included. Who are the Sadhana Siddha gopis? The Dandakaranya gopis, Dandakaranya rishis, the Mithila women, the Kosala women, the Ayodhya women, the Yagya Sitas, Ulinda women, Rama Vaikuntha, Svetadvipa, Urdhva Vaikuntha, Ajitapada women, then Lokachala women, then the demigoddesses, Jalandharis, Brihaspatipura women, the Apsaras, and the women from Nagaloka. All these they are not included. Only the Nitya Siddha gopis, they are included in this story in chapter 22. Now this chapter describes how the marriageable daughters of the cowherd man worshipped Katyayani Devi to get Lord Krishna as their husband, and how Krishna stole the garments of the young gopis and gave the girls benedictions. All these things we'll see in today's class. Now there are 5 themes in this lesson. The theme 1 is unmarried gopis vowed to please goddess Katyayani, and that is Mother Parvati or Durga, to have Sri Krishna as their husband. These are given in 1 to 7 verses. Then in the second theme, Krishna stole their garments when the gopis bathed naked in the Kalindi waters during the winter month of Margasirsa, very early in the morning, verses 8 to 15. Then third theme, although the gopis had been thoroughly cheated, ridiculed, and deprived of their modesty, they did not feel inimical at all towards Sri Krishna. This is in the verses 16 to 22. Then, pleased with the gopis' determination to stay fixed in their vows, Krishna granted them their desire. 23 to 28. And finally, the theme 5, Krishna glorifies the virtues of the trees to the cowherd boy, given in 29 to 38. Okay, the next. Next slide. During the first month of winter season, what is the first month of winter season? It is Hemanta or Hemanta season, or the month is Margasirsa. Or in India, it is from around mid-November to mid-December. Now, what happened during that time? Sukadeva Goswami is saying during the first month of the winter season, the young unmarried girls of Gokula observed the vow of worshipping goddess Katyayani. We'll see in next slide who is goddess Katyayani. For the entire month, they ate only unspiced khichdi. What does it mean? These are given in the commentary of the Acharyas. Now, Sanatana Goswami is saying these unmarried young Braja Gopis, Nanda Braja Kumarika, are well qualified for marrying the Lord. The Gopis first they ate avisya, a kind of food prepared by boiling together moong dal and rice without any spices or turmeric. Katyayani is Parvati, Shiva's sweetheart, the topmost Vaishnavi. The girls performed a vow that was the form of a worship of her. And Jiva Goswami is saying, Purva Anuraga of the virgin girls in Nanda's village meant that they are not part of his family. His family means from Krishna's family. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he is saying, he says this chapter, that is chapter 22, describes the virgin girls' worship of goddess Katyayani to attain Krishna as their husband. Krishna stealing their clothing, Krishna's conversation with them and fulfilling their desires, and Krishna's praising the trees. This is all which will come up in this chapter. And after describing the Purva Anuraga of the married gopis such as Radhika towards Krishna in the autumn season, that was in the previous lesson 54, chapter 21, there is a description of the Purva Anuraga of the unmarried Nitya Siddha gopis such as Dhanya in connection with the winter season. Purva Anuraga is intense loving attachment before meeting the beloved. Although in fact their loving affection for Krishna as an intimate associate was already established, still the virgin gopis, following the ways of ordinary society, performed worship of goddess Katyayani to attain Krishna as their husband. The distinction between these unmarried gopis performing a vow in the month of Margasirsa and those like Radha is made in the Harivamsa Purana, Vishnu Purana and Brahma Purana. In such verses as following, the young unmarried gopis gathered together while it was still dark. It was very early in the morning and the sun had not come up, and they had gone to the shore of Yamuna, which was also little further than their villages, so that nobody would come there, only they will be there. Now, please remember that these gopis, they were very, very young at that time, and even Krishna was also very young. Then let us go to the next slide. Unmarried gopis vowed to please goddess Katyayani, Mother Parvati, to have Lord Krishna as their husband. After they had taken bath in the water of the Kalindi, that is Yamuna river, just as the sun was rising, the gopis made an earthen deity of goddess Durga on the river bank. And then they worshipped her with such aromatic substances as sandalwood pulp, along with other items, both opulent and simple, including lamps, fruits, betel nuts, newly grown leaves, and fragrant garlands and incense. Now, please remember in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, it is given very clearly that the deity forms of the Lord is said to appear in 8 varieties: in stone, in wood, metal, earth, paint, sand, mind, and jewels. Now, Jiva Goswami explains that certain deity forms, such as those made from sand, as made by these gopis, the Kumarikas in Vrindavana, they are manifested for a brief time to fulfill a personal desire of the worshipper. This is what was done by the Brajakumarikas and Brajagopis, and it is as per the scriptures. There is no deviation in that. And then Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are saying on this, in 3.5 verses, 2, 3, 4.5 and 5, describe the method of worship which showed the austerity involved plus the intensity of their longing for Krishna. They immersed just before sunrise, that is, and they took bath, and that is, bathed naked in the cold waters of Yamuna, which was the most purifying. They made a deity of sand to quickly fulfill their desire. Although they had not yet reached Yathod Yovana, they worshipped with sort of anuraga, ponder over their condition of being bewildered by Krishna even at this very, very young age. Now we were talking about Katyayani or Durga. Let us understand who is she. Is she the external potency or the internal potency of the Supreme Lord? As we know, Katyayani is Mother Parvati, and these gopis, they worshipped her to get Krishna as their husband. Now the slide reads, each of the young unmarried girls performed her worship while chanting the following mantra. O goddess Katyayani, O great potency of the Lord, O possessor of great mystic power and mighty controller of all Mahamaya, Nanda Gopasutam Devi Patim Kurute Nama. Please make the son of Nanda my husband. I offer my obeisances unto you. What were they singing? Katyayani Mahamaya, Mahayogin Adiswari, Nanda Gopasutam Devi Patim Kurute Nama. That means they were very, very specific. They wanted the son of Nanda Maharaj as their husband. Like in other forms, like say, you'll read letter how Rukmini, she worshipped, she wrote a letter to Krishna. In that she wanted to marry Krishna only. But here the unmarried gopis, they want to also marry Krishna, who is son of Nanda Maharaj. That is what is the difference. Now what the Acharyas are saying on this, Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, they are saying, though addressed here as O Mahamaya, she is not Krishna's external, but internal potency, that is Yogamaya or his Swarupa Sakti. This is what is the difference. Possible cross-examination by Mahamaya to test the gopis. Now, she may say there is some difficulty in this, though why don't you worship some other deity? Why you are worshipping me? Then they would say that then you should directly worship Krishna. She may say the gopis' prayers and their counter response to Devi's response, what they say, O Mahamaya Devi, you are the form of Satchit Ananda, potency of the Lord. You are able to give us to a power adequate of fulfilling our desire. There is no deity above you because she is the internal potency of the Lord. There is no difference between her and the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they are requesting her to help in this matter. Requesting him directly for the sake of him is not conducive to rasa. You already know this. The gopis, they are answering to Mother Katyayani. Now,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Sharat Prabhuji, the old screen is showing.
Hi, what?
Now when you was describing, the previous screen was showing the screen was not correct at that time. Now
Okay.
it shows correct. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I forgot to change it. Yeah, this was the screen we are describing from. Now we go to the next screen. Okay. The gopis prayed, O Katyayani, please make the son of Nanda as our husband. But goddess Katyayani may object. When you say please do it, what does that have to do with me? you should be allowed to do whatever you wish in this matter. I, on the other hand, shall inspire your parents to do the needful in this matter. Therefore, you should rather use the words, please cause someone to do it, or please give it to us. Anticipating this objection, the gopis say in anxiety, O great yogin, my connection with Krishna should be immediately arranged by you without the unnecessary disturbance of my parents. I am too anxious for this and cannot wait. Besides, Krishna has not taken Brahminical initiation yet, so he is not ready for marriage. Therefore, goddess, overlook the proper rituals of marriage and in the Gandharva style, let us marry Krishna immediately. This is what is the implication of this. And as you know, Gandharva marriage is a love marriage by personal agreement without parental sanction. Now, Katyayani may object to this. She may say, you are thinking of Krishna as your husband and you are anxious to have intimate connection with him even without your parents knowing. But how can I possibly fulfill this desire of yours? Then the one gopi replied, Oh Adeswari, you have all the powers, therefore nothing is impossible for you. You are Mahamaya, the supreme enchantress. Therefore, by the power of illusion, you should bewilder my parents, so they will not know of my marriage and the secret of my intimate association with Krishna. Taking the word Devi to mean Divyati, play, it refers to Krishna who plays and causes one to play. Therefore, the gopi says, Devi means Krishna. Devi means Krishna is indeed the husband. So please make him so. Such a status of being a husband can be affected without marriage. And thus there is no harm if I am married to some other coward man. In this way, each of the gopis separately meditates on the meaning of this mantra chanted to petition goddess Katyayani. Now, what basically they are saying in this verse, they are saying, please bewilder our parents and allow us to marry Krishna in the Gandharva style. Now, as you know, in Indian tradition, there are 8 types of marriages. First type is Brahma Vivaha, that is arranged by the parents, which happens in most of the cases. Then Daiva Vivaha. Daiva Vivaha is in this type of wedding, there are no feasts or celebrations that are specific to the wedding, but the wedding of the daughter of a poor family is held as an act of charity by wealthy people, which also happened in today's society. It was customary for kings, landlords, and rich merchants to hold religious ceremonies and sacrifices where many gifts would be given and charities performed for the benefit of the poor people. Then Arsha Vivaha, third type. In this type of marriage, the family of the groom pays Kanya Sulkam or bride price to the parents of the bride. And according to certain texts, the prescribed bride price is a cow with a calf or a pair of bulls. Now, what I am saying, all these are given in the Manusmriti. Now, the fourth type of marriage in the Indian tradition, it is the Prajapatya Vivaha. What is Prajapatya Vivaha? This type of marriage is the same as Brahma Vivaha in all respects, except that the bride's father gives her away as a gift, not to the groom, but to the groom's father. Why? Because for the protection of the bride, because the daughter is very, very young at that time. Then fifth is Asura Vivaha. In this Asura type of marriage, the groom is not at all suitable for the bride, and in no way he is a match for the girl, but he willingly gives so much wealth as he can afford to the bride's parents and relatives. And Gandharva Vivaha, this we saw, it is synonymous with the modern day love marriage or elopement. And Rakshasa Vivaha, this is essentially a marriage by abduction. In cases where the girl is willing to marry the boy, but the family is against the alliance, the girl may be abducted and married. It is essential that the girl be willing. Instances of such marriages, they are Krishna and Rukmini, Arjuna and Subhadra, like this. And Pisacha Vivaha, this Pisacha Vivaha, this is actually not even recommended by Manu Maharaj. What is this? In this case, where the bride is intoxicated, possessed, or not in a conscious state of mind when being married, and thus is married unwillingly. These are the types of marriages. And the gopis, the young gopis, they wanted to marry Krishna by bewilderment of their parents in the process of Gandharva Vivaha. Let us go to the next slide. We show one point, the other points are there in this slide. In Ananda Vrindavan Champu, Ananda Vrindavan Champu is written by Kavi Karnapura. The gopis pray, O worshipable Devi, please accept this foot wash, that is Padya, and cool off our burning breast with the water from Krishna's feet. We worship you with this argya. So please give us the association of Krishna, who is Mahargya or most worshipable. The goddess Durga mentioned in this verse is not the illusory energy of Krishna called Mahamaya, rather the internal potency, Chit Shakti of the Lord known as Yogamaya. The distinction between the internal and the external potency of the Lord is described in the Narada Pancharatra, in the conversation between Shruti and Vidya. The conversation goes like this: Mahavishnu's inferior potency, known as Durga, is dedicated to his loving service. Being the Lord's potency, this inferior energy is non-different from him, that is Mahavishnu Swarupini. And there is another superior potency whose form is on the same spiritual level as that of God Himself, the Lord Himself. And simply by scientifically understanding the supreme potency, one can immediately achieve the supreme soul of all souls, who is the Lord of all lords. There is no other process to achieve him. And that supreme potency of the Lord is known as Gokuleswari, the goddess of Gokula. Her nature is to be completely absorbed in the Lord, the love of God, Prema Sarvasva. And though her one can easily obtain the primeval God, the Lord of all that be, this internal potency of the Lord has a covering potency, Avaranik Shakti, known as Mahamaya, who rules the material world. In that she bewilders the entire universe, and thus everyone within the universe falsely identifies himself with the material body. We can thus understand that the internal and external potencies of the Supreme Lord are personified as Yogamaya and Mahamaya respectively. The name Durga is sometimes used to refer the internal superior potency stated in the Pancharatra. In all mantras used to worship Krishna, the presiding deity is the spiritual Durga. Thus, in the transcendental sound vibrations glorifying the worshipping of the absolute truth, Sri Krishna, the presiding deity of particular mantra or hymn, is called Durga. To confuse the Yogamaya Durga with Mahamaya Durga is a mistake. Furthermore, although the pastimes of Braja are on the platform of pure transcendence, Suddha Sattva, they somewhat resemble material pastimes in appearance. Therefore, there is no fault in the gopis' worship of Durga or Mahamaya. Independent thinkers who think that the name of Durga and Mahamaya refer exclusively to the external potency of the Lord have no chance of getting even a touch of the breeze carrying the scent of prema on their body. And this is from Vaishnava Tosari. Let us go to the next slide. Thus, for an entire month, the girls carried out their vow and properly worshipped the goddess Bhadrakali, fully absorbed their minds in Krishna and meditating upon the following thought. May the son of King Nanda become my husband. Now here please again remember the word goddess Bhadrakali used here. Whether it is Bhadrakali or Durga or a Katyayani, anything used, please understand that the young gopis, they are worshipping the internal potency of the Supreme Lord, that is the Chit Shakti. Now, what Sridhar Swami is saying, Sukadeva Goswami expounds on their being Krishna Chetas. Their hearts are for Krishna. They worshipped in this way. May Nanda's son become my husband. They are very, very specific. It is not Krishna or anybody else. It is Nanda's son only. And Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are saying, their desire would be fulfilled shortly because their minds were purified by thinking of Krishna. Now, see, at that so young age, they were thinking of Krishna all the time. They are coming out of homes early in the morning when it is still dark, and they are worshipping goddess Katyayani to obtain Krishna. Or by their nature, they thought of him. They were fixed in him because of the pain of prema. That fixation made them fixed in their vow. This was the month of Margasirsa, which is Krishna's month. Bhagavad Gita 10:35. Since it is Krishna's vibhuti, it was a good time for the vow. Bhadrakali is same Katyayani. They worshipped her daily, observing all the rules, and thought of Krishna, who was directly the Lord of all beings. Later it is explained that Krishna came to fulfill their request. It will come up in the story. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he says on this verse, they worshipped Bhadrakali with the vow, may the son of Nanda be my husband. Each one is worshipping. And there is no competition amongst them. And verse 6, each day they rose at dawn and calling out to one another by name. And they all held hands and loudly sang the glories of Krishna while going to the Kalinti to take their bath. Now, Sridhar Swami is saying, he talks about a previous aspect of the vow. They whose hands are taken by one another. Now, Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are saying, not only did they think of Krishna, but they were absorbed in Kirtana, the best feature of worship, while going to Kalindi. They rose before sunrise at dawn, since the Yamuna was far away, calling each other by their names. And they held each other's arms firmly, since they could stumble on the path in the dark. Because of affection, they could perform the vow with conviction. The daily bath is again described to show its excellence. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, this verse continues the second verse description of the gopis going to Yamuna for bathing. They called each other by name. Swagotrevi. Oh Dhanya, where are you? Why are you late? Like this, they were addressing each other by name. Please remember, they are very, very young at that time, about 3 to 4 years old, not more than that. And still they were going early in the morning to worship the Katyayani to get Krishna as their husband. Next slide. Now, one day they came to the river bank and putting aside their clothing as they had done before, happily played in the water while singing the glories of Krishna. They were thinking and singing of Krishna. They did not know anything about that. And Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami is saying, this event took place on the full moon day at the end of the month, at the end of Margasirsa month. And they always went into the water since they were kids. Thus, as previously, Purvabat, they entered the water. They played in bliss because they sang about Krishna. And by the bliss of their singing, they did not feel cold even though they were in the winter water, or their vow was now complete. They played in the water singing about Krishna. This shows their absorption in Krishna. Without thinking of their bodies, they were taking bath in the cold water. Also, it shows oneness of their minds, voices, and bodies. All the gopis, they were innumerable number of gopis there. They were not competing with each other, and they were showing their oneness with their minds, voices, and bodies. And they were singing the glories of Krishna. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is commenting, Kadachit means once. Here means on the full moon day, when the gopis had completed their 1 month vow. What happens after each yajna or vow? An abhabrata bath is taken. This ritual was being carried out by the gopis. And this is mentioned in the 5th verse. To celebrate the successful completion of their vow, the virgin gopis invited young Radharani, the daughter of Vrishabhanu, and the special object of their affection, along with other important gopis, and brought them all to the river to take bath. Their playing in the water was meant to serve as the Abhabrata Snana, the ceremonial bath taken immediately upon the completion of a Vedic sacrifice. Their playing in Yamuna was meant to serve as the Abhabrata Snana, the ceremonial bath taken immediately upon the completion of a Vedic sacrifice. Now, Srila Prabhupada, what he is saying about this, it is an old system among Indian girls and women that when they take bath in the river, they place their garments on the bank and dip into the water completely naked. The portion of the river where the girls and women bath was strictly prohibited to any male, and this is still the system in a very number of places in India. Certain ghats, they are meant for males, and certain ghats, they are specifically meant for the women. There is no mixing up. Then the next slide. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead and Master of all masters of mystic yoga, was aware of what the gopis were doing, and thus he went there, surrounded by his young companions, to award the gopis the perfection of their endeavor. Who were these young companions, and what is their description will come up in the commentary of the acharyas. Now, Sridhar Swami is saying Yoga Iswara. Iswara means the master of all masters of mystic powers is Lord Krishna. In that way, Sukadeva Goswami shows Krishna's ability to fulfill each girl's desire. He went there for the accomplishment, that is, to give the result of their ritualistic vow. Now, what was happening? The young girls, they were worshipping Katyayani to get Krishna as their husband. And at the end of their vow, when it came to completion, that day, Krishna himself went to give the result of their ritualistic vow. And that's what Sridhar Swami is saying. And Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are saying? Krishna came and became aware of their vow to goddess Katyayani for having him as their husband. But this was not directly revealed to him by them, as they were to be worshipped by persons who were cleverest in dealings. He inferred their vow by their actions. He could know what was difficult to know because he is Bhagavan, omniscient and omnipotent. He came there because he was the king of Rasikas, attractive to everyone. He came surrounded by his friends to quickly seize all at once the various pieces of clothes of the gopis. But these boys were not brothers of the girls. And Jiva Goswami is saying, inasmuch as it is going to be said Balia, that is, who were just little boys being surrounded by them, he arrived. And they are much younger than Krishna. Further, they should be understood as Dama, Sudama, Vasudeva, Kinkini, who are in his inner circle of friends. And those companions are the forms of intelligence, the ego, the subconscious, and the mind, respectively. It is understood that it was for the sake of good fun, such as laughter. And this is given in the Gautamiya Tantra. And things will be more clear in the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says commentary. The gopis, like all other girls from respected families, considered the embarrassment of appearing naked before a young boy to be worse than death. Yet Sri Krishna made them come out of Yamuna and bow down to him. Although the gopis' bodies were fully developed, and although Krishna made them in a secluded place and brought them fully under his control, because Krishna is completely transcendental, there was not a trace of material desire in his mind. And as the ocean of transcendental bliss, Sri Krishna wanted to share his bliss with the gopis on the spiritual platform, completely free from mundane lust. This is the import of the word yoga Ishvara Ishvara. According to scriptural references, the word Vayasi means young companions, means mere toddlers, 2 or 3 years old, 3 years old. The 4 friends of Krishna, the names we mentioned, Dhamma, Sudama, Vasudama, and Kinkini. And according to these young boys were completely naked and were unaware of the difference between male and female. And when Krishna went out to herd the cows, they followed him because they were so attached to Krishna that they would not bear to be without him. And Kramadipika says Krishna was surrounded by babies who spoke in broken language, who wore tiger nails around their necks and tinkling bells around their waists, and who had fed thighs. That means they were very, very young, like we saw, 2 to 3 years old. And we know the state of children at 2 to 3 years. Now let us go to the next slide. Now the verse 9. Taking the girl's garments, he quickly climbed to the top of a kadamba tree. Then he laughed loudly, and his companions also laughed. He addressed the girls jokingly. Now, what are the commentary of our acharyas on this? Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami. He laughed loudly with the boys because of his act, and quickly climbed the kadamba tree out of fear, since he was a thief. Like a thief, he had stolen the garments of these gopis, and since the tree was high, they could not see him. The boys were very, very young. Previously, he had left the older boys to perform this pastime, or since he was at the end of 7 years when he lifted Govardhana, and the pastime occurred previously, he must have been 6 years old at this time. See, he was about 6 years old, and his friends were 2 to 3 years old, and the gopis were about minimum 2 years younger than him, that is 3 to 4 years. So this is what is the state. Now the other boys were of the same or even in his younger group. He matures quickly, that is all these boys. That is well known and was mentioned earlier. This is also understood in his giving mercy to the wives of the Brahmanan. Thus, there is nothing wrong if they were all very young, or the 2 pastimes occurred during his Kaisora period. But as described before, lifting Govardhana, it is related now because of a relationship with the gopi, Bhava, revealed in their description of his Venu Gita, and also with the wives of the Brahmanas described in the next chapter. This will come up in chapter 23. That is next weekend, day 1, we'll see this. Generally, Sukha does not narrate the pastimes in order. Sometimes the pastimes of similar nature are grouped together. Sometimes, because of his own taste, they are related at a certain time. And this is clear from the previous and the later chapters. And Krishna then spoke jokingly to attract them. He also laughed conspicuously. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he is saying? Krishna said, "O young girls of Braja, do you know who has put all these clothes on the branch of the Kadamba tree? While herding the cows, I saw them from a distance and thought, today the Kadamba tree is very attractive with colorful flowers and fruits. And to see this astonishing spectacle, I came running here and climbed the tree." And the young girls replied, "They are our clothes." Then Krishna said, "They can't be. If they were yours, how did they get on this branch high in the tree?" The gopis say, "You have stolen them and put them there." Now Krishna says, "Are you blaming me? I am son of King Nanda and am I a thief? If you doubt me, then just go to Mathura and complain to King Kamsa." Now the gopis would say, "Don't get angry, just look closely at the clothing and see if they are women's or men's clothing." Now Krishna says, "According to my understanding, they must be women's clothing because they are so colorful. But what? You are not the only woman in the universe. Could this not be the clothes of some other women?" Then the gopis would reply, "That is true. But who else besides us can come to this secluded forest?" The Krishna would say, "Oh girls, who like to wander in the lonely forest? Are you the only women that wander in the lonely forest and play privately?" The gopis reply, "Oh fool, we did not come here to play. We came here to worship Durga, the deity of this Kadamba tree." Then Krishna would say, "Are you the only young men worshipping Durga? Are these not others?" Now gopis would say, "There are no others." Then Krishna replies, "O foolish ones, every night the demigoddesses come here on celestial vehicles to worship Durga." Now gopis would say, "Even if they did perform worship here, why would they leave their clothing here and go away?" Now Krishna would say, "Oh young girls, you do not know anything. Tonight they will come again and perform the worship, and after taking bath they will wear these clothes. That is why they left them here." Now the gopis replied, "You do not know the truth. Today we will perform worship. The deity of the forest has placed those clothes high up in the tree for us to wear after taking bath." Let us go to the next slide. Now, the 10th verse, Lord Krishna said, "My dear girls, you may each come here as you wish and take back your garments. I am telling you the truth and I am not joking with you. Since I see you are fatigued from executing austere vows." Now, Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are saying, these two verses 10 and 11 will come in the next slide. So he is joking. He tells them to come close so that he can see them fully on the pretext of giving them their clothing. He encourages them to come quickly by his indifference to theft. And it was some of the other thief who stole your clothes, not me. Be sure to take your clothes. The deeper meaning by inference is because a joke on you ascetics who are women, Avala, who have not attained strength due to not reaching adolescence and who are thin on account of the vow would be totally wrong. With this too, he agitates the minds of these girls with the witticism that hints at a renewed indifference after implying, "Now, what are you going to do?" He is almost challenging. And now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is commenting, this verse illustrates how Krishna joked with the girls. Krishna said, if these clothes are really yours, then come here. And if you like and identify them, you can take them after paying me one small necklace each in order to satisfy me after you have insulted me. Each one of you should come individually and not all at once or one in ones or twos or threes. Because out of greed for the clothes, one woman will take more than one cloth. Now the gopis would say, we cannot go there. Krishna, he starts laughing and says, girls, Abala, the weak ones, you have become weak due to your intense austerities and therefore cannot come here. Another implication of the word Abala is, if you don't do this, I will not give the clothing because I am strong, Bala. What can you weak women do? Gopis would say, we do not trust your crafty words. The Gopis would reply, I am telling you the truth, Satyam. Or Krishna said, I am making a vow to you. And Krishna said, I am not joking. I see that you are exhausted from the difficulties of your vows. And because of your austerity, I am upholding the principles of religion by showing mercy and devotion to you. Let us go on to the next slide. I have the 11th verse. I have never been never before spoken a lie, and therefore these boys know this. Therefore, O slender waisted girls, please come forward, either one by one or together, and pick up your clothes. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, oh Gopis, the Gopis replied to Krishna, because you are a liar, we don't believe. Krishna bit his tongue while saying, I have never told any lies. From my birth till now, I have not had any occasion to lie. What is the proof? The young boys are the witnesses. They are reliable as witnesses because they naturally report whatever they see. The gopis would say, from far away, please throw the clothes to us in the water, or just have the young boys bring them here. Krishna says, I am unable to discern one woman's clothes from another. How can I throw them to you? Being a very religious person, I do not touch the possessions of others, even with my fingernail. Therefore, you must come here, identify your own clothes and take them. It is my firm rule not to touch. Now, due to this fear and the fact that we are respectable, the gopis would say, because you are so imprudent, you can embarrass us. And due to this fear and the fact that we are respectable women, we will not come near you. Now, Krishna would say, one of the young girls amongst you can come forward. If she is not embarrassed and returns to you, then others can come one by one, or all can come together. If you come as a group, it would be impossible to embarrass you. The head is the topmost part of the body and it is very beautiful. So please show me your heads. If you can show your heads, then you should not be embarrassed to show me your other beautiful limbs, including your beautiful slender waist. Let us go to next verse 12. Seeing how Krishna was joking with them, the gopis became fully immersed in love for him and they glanced at each other and they began to laugh and joke among themselves, even in their embarrassment. But still, they did not come out of the water. Now, what the Goswami said, the Acharyas say, since these were special gopis, then by their nature had deep prema. But understanding that he was joking, that is, Krishna was joking, they became further immersed in the rasa or prema. They looked at each other and laughed, but they did not come out because looking at each other, they felt they were embarrassed, or because they were filled with prema and they shyly smiled. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he is saying, to make Krishna happy, I think we should not be so self-conscious. thinking like this, the gopis began to joyfully talk among themselves, and glancing at one another, they became embarrassed. The gopis were from the most respectable families, and they might have argued with Krishna, why don't you simply leave our clothes on the bank of the river and go away? Now, Krishna would say, but there are so many of you that some of the girls might take clothes belonging to another. Now the gopis would say, we are honest and never steal anything. We never touch another's property. Now Krishna would reply, if that is true, then simply come and get your clothes. What is the difficulty? When the gopis saw Krishna's determination, they were filled with loving ecstasy. Although embarrassed, they were overjoyed to receive such attention from Krishna. He was joking with them as if they were his wives or girlfriends, and the gopis' only desire was to achieve such a relationship with him. At that time, they were embarrassed to be seen naked by him, but still they could not help laughing at his joking words and even began to joke among themselves. One gopi said to another, O lotus-eyed one, Krishna is calling you. The second gopi answered, O beautiful faced one, you go first and let us see if Krishna plays any trick on you. Then we'll go later. In this way, they joked among themselves but remained in the water without moving. They did not come out. Then what happened? The verses 13 and 14. As Sri Govinda spoke to the gopis this way, his joking words completely captivated their minds. Submerged up in the cold water, they began to shiver. Thus they addressed him as follows: Dear Krishna, don't be unfair. We know that you are the respectable son of Nanda, and that you are honored by everyone in Braja. You are also very dear to us. Please give us back our clothes. We are shivering in cold water. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he said, Krishna is saying, oh dark-eyed girls, if you don't come here, I will tie all these clothes to a branch of the tree, make a hemlock and pillow, and lie down, since I am now quite sleepy due to having stayed up at night. Now the gopis would say, oh Gopala, your cows being greedy for grass have gone into the mountain cave. You must go quickly to herd them back on the proper path. But Krishna would reply, oh Gopala, coward girls, you should quickly leave here and go to Braja to do your household duties. You should not make your parents and elders suffer. The gopis would reply, our dear Krishna will not go home for an entire month, for it is by the order of our parents and the other elders that we are executing this vow of fasting, the Katyayani Vrata. Now Krishna replies, my dear austere ladies, I too, by the strength of seeing you, have now developed a surprising mood of detachment from my family life. I wish to stay here for a month and execute the vow of dwelling in the clouds. If you are merciful to me, I will come down from the tree and observe the vow of fasting in the water along with you. And now the gopis would reply, gopis were completely captivated by Krishna's joking words, but out of shyness, they submerged themselves in the water up to their necks, trembling from the cold and also from their anxiety, joy, and eagerness. The gopis addressed Krishna as follows. The gopis tried to satisfy Krishna by using one of the four diplomatic principles known as Sama and pacification. Gopis would say, you are born in a cultured family, so you should not do unworthy. We do not know any other place in Braja, but we know you, the son of Nanda. The words Gopa means king as well as covered man. Furthermore, you are praised and loved by the Brajavasis. Then Krishna would reply, O foolish women, if I am the king's son, then what wrong can I do? If you say the king's son should not do any wrong actions, then I say, if I am doing wrong, how can I be praised and loved by everyone in Braja? It is not possible to praise or love a wrongdoer. Now the gopis would reply, true, we simply, women are ignorant of how to speak. Please forgive us, therefore, and give us our clothing. We are shivering with cold. With these words, then they invoked Krishna's mercy. Now then let us see what Krishna does thereafter. In verse 15, O Shyam Sundar, we are your maidservants and must do whatever you say, but give us back our clothing. You know that the religious principles are, and if you don't give us our clothing, we will have to tell this to the king. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying in this verse, the gopis continue their attempts to pacify Krishna. The gopis said, we are your maidservants, will carry out your words. The implication is that it is only befitting for us to have an attitude of service to you, who are the king. The gopis continued, moreover, because you are the very beautiful Sundara, we have to become your servants, and thus under the guise of being servants, we will suffer our very selves, we will offer our very selves to you. Then the gopis employ the diplomatic principle known as Veda, knower of religious principle, Dharma Jnana. You will be acting irreligiously if you steal the wealth of chastity from women and see them naked. See that it was futile to instill fear of irreligion, adharma in Krishna. The gopis then resorted to threats to instill fear. If you do not give clothing, we will complain to the king, that is Nanda Maharaj, or to Kansa, the king of Mathura. We will not have a break. Go to the next slide, 16 and 17. If you girls are actually my maidservants, and if you will really do what I say, then come here with your innocent smiles and let each girl pick out her clothes. If you don't do what I say, I won't give you back to give them back to you. And even if the king becomes angry, what can he do? Then shivering from the painful cold, all the young girls rose out from the water, covering their pubic area with their hands. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, after being defeated by their own deeds, the gopis stood speechless. Krishna then spoke, will now test the truthfulness of your words. If you are really my servants, then you will do whatever I say. Please come forward with a smile and take your clothes. If you are not true to your words and fail in this test of dharma, then I will not return your clothes. Suchi Smita means a smile expressing conjugal love, Suchi. Thus the gopis revealed their true inner feelings toward Krishna with their smiles full of conjugal affection. Krishna continued, as I am stronger, you should use Sama instead of Veda. If you make the king angry, what can you accomplish? The gopis talked among themselves, O Sakhis, we have been defeated by our own words. Now, if we delay any longer, some other men may come along, and then we will be sunk in an ocean of shame. Our desire to touch Krishna's body has become even stronger and cannot be put to death even by drowning in the water. Therefore, it seems our fate has been written in our foreheads and we can do nothing to change it. Therefore, yielding to the demands, we must put aside our embarrassment, send our obstinacy to hell, and close our eyes. In that darkness, we will cover our bodies and rise up from the water. Thus, assuring each other that there was no alternative, the gopis rose up out of the water to meet Krishna. Let us see what happens next. When Krishna saw how the gopis were struck with embarrassment, he was satisfied by their pure loving affection, and putting their clothes on his shoulder, the Lord smiled and spoke to them with affection. You girls birthed naked while executing your vow, and that is certainly an offense against the demigods. And to counteract your sin, you should offer obeisances while placing your joint palms above your heads, you should then you should take back your lower garments. Now, Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are saying, he was pleased with their pure prema on seeing that they had come and gathering all the clothes on the trunk of the tree. He then spoke, particularly showing what was proper to teach them. He smiled since he remained there for a long time. His speaking would be colored with joking. Now, what the reason he placed the clothing on his shoulders is given. They had pure bhava. He spoke with a smile because he was pleased with the affectionate to them. He spoke joking words since that was necessary result of being pleased. He placed the multitude of clothes on only one shoulder, showing his power. Because they were young girls, they cannot be blamed. I have directly witnessed this, so it is not possible to cheat me. You have offended the goddess Katyayani because of the defect in your vow. Now they should place their hands on the heads and nowhere else. When they came near to take their cloth, which was at the base of the Kadamba tree, he would be able to see them clearly. Offering respects, they would take their clothing, or they should take their lower cloth and not their upper cloth. And what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur would say, Krishna became very satisfied to see the pure, unalloyed love of the gopis, who on their order had given up all shyness, which was worse than death for those respectable girls. And Krishna put the gopis' clothing on his shoulder out of greed to smell the fragrance of their bodies lingering on their clothes. By doing this, Krishna showed his love to the gopis. Krishna thought, out of love for me, these gopis have done something which is very difficult for any woman. But there remains something even more difficult, and I wonder if they can do it. And now let me test their power to of their love. Krishna then smiled affectionately and with great boldness. He advised the gopis, "Oh gopis, you have said that you are my servants and that you will follow my words. Now I am going to test you. If you come out of the water and stand before me, I will give you your clothes along with my body, mind, and soul." Krishna would say, "Oh, you have made a great offense by bathing naked in the water. You have definitely offended Varuna or Narayana. Gopis, this is the local custom." Gopis would say this is the local custom. Therefore, being very young girls, we have made no offense. But Krishna would say, for those performing vows, bathing naked is certainly an offense to the Lord. Considering that the fruits of their Katyayani Vrata had been nullified, the gopis became afraid and said, "Oh, we have made such an offense, and now we'll not get any results. Since we have failed and have become completely mortified, we should give up our lives." And seeing that the gopis had performed such severe austerities that their bodies were pale, fatigued, and shivering, Krishna thought, I should be compassionate and prescribe some atonement so that do not give up their lives. Therefore, Krishna said, "O slender-waisted gopis, don't be afraid. The Shastras proclaim that all women are servants of Narayana." Gargamuni had also said that I am similar to Narayana in qualities. Therefore, I am now your Narayana. To nullify your offense to Narayana, you should face me and offer respects to me. Then you can take back your undergarments. Since I am a man, I have no business with the undergarments of women. But I am going to keep your upper garments and use myself as shawls. And when the gopis simply lowered their heads as an obeisance, Krishna said, "Oh no, offering respects with just the head is inferior." When Krishna saw them then using one hand, he objected again, "This is inferior." Thus Krishna made the gopis hold both hands together in prayer. When Krishna saw them folding their hands, but keeping them below their waist to cover up their private parts, he said, offer obeisances with your palms joined above your hands. Let us see the next verse. We'll read only Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comment. The gopis thought that the results of their brata should not be lost, even if they had to sacrifice their modesty. Therefore, they decided to simply surrender to Krishna, and this is explained in this verse. When Krishna had pointed out that bathing naked was an offense, the gopis decided that their vow had become useless. Desiring to attain the results of their brata, they offered respects to Krishna, who bestows the results of all actions. What to speak of this brata? The gopis said, if we satisfy Krishna, who is the sum total of all results, then what else remains to be gained? Someone may argue with the gopis saying, you may gain the results, but what about the sin incurred? Now this verse answers the question by saying that Krishna is the purifier of all sins. Thus, there can be no fault for those who obtain the mercy of the Lord. Then go to the next. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comments on verses 21-22. Seeing them bow down like that, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Devaki, gave back their garments, feeling compassionate towards them and satisfied by their act. Although the gopis had been thoroughly cheated, deprived of their modesty, ridiculed, and made to act like a toy or dolls, and although their clothing had been stolen, they did not feel at all inimical toward Krishna. Rather, they were simply joyful to have this opportunity to associate with their beloved. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, even though the gopis were treated contemptuously, they still acted favorably toward their beloved by doing what would have been impossible for others to do. And astonishingly, the gopis became blissful by this. The gopis had been deceived to the extreme by Krishna's words criticizing their nakedness. After forcing them to give up their modesty, Krishna mocked them, insisted that they come get their clothing. He made them dance like puppets. When Krishna said, I am telling the truth, this is not a joke, the gopis did not find fault with him, nor did they criticize Krishna when he told them to hold their folded hands above their heads as atonement. Though all this was done to them, the gopis felt blissful because they got to meet their beloved. They actually became even more attached to Krishna for doing all these things. The conclusion is that when one is considered dear, whatever that dear one does is experienced with pleasure, even if it gives pain. Then the next verse 23, the gopis were addicted to associating with their beloved Krishna, and thus they become captivated by him. Thus, even after putting their clothes on them, they did not move. They simply remained where they were, shyly glancing at him. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, just as Krishna had stolen their clothes, he had also stolen their minds and their love. And this verse describes the gopis as the reservoir of prema. The gopis interpreted the whole incident as proof that Krishna was also attached to them. Otherwise, why would he have gone to the trouble of playing with them this way? Krishna had overcome their shyness and forced them to come out of the water naked. But now, having dressed properly, they again become shy in his presence. In fact, this incident increased their humility before Krishna. They did not want Krishna to see them stared at him, but they cautiously took the opportunity to glance at the Lord. There is the suggestion that the bashfulness pervaded their bodies more than even previously, and they were totally blissful. And 24-25, the Supreme Lord understood the determination of the gopis in executing their strict vow, and the Lord also knew that the girls desired to touch his lotus feet, and thus Lord Damodar Krishna spoke to them. O saintly girls, I understand that your real motive in this austerity has been to worship me. That intent of yours is approved by me, and indeed it must come to pass. Now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, the gopis could have said here, "O Krishna, O topmost enjoyer of loving exchanges, we have now obtained the fruit of our vow because you have created this extraordinary fraud. And by that you have driven the very life air out of our body. Then again, by your mercy, we have become fully satisfied. By making us come out of the water, you have used various clever devices to insult us in every way. Then, after draping our garments over your wonderful shoulders, you gave them back to us along with the jewel of your own heart, as expressed in your words. In response to this, we can only give you our grateful glances. Therefore, because we are simply foolish girls, we cannot discern whether this pleases or offends you, since you know perfectly well the differences of time, place, and person. You should please speak whatever you desire. We will immediately go home upon hearing that. Desiring to answer them, the Supreme Omniscient Lord then spoke them 3 verses. Krishna said, "O chaste women, though out of modesty you have not mentioned that your real purpose, sankalpa in worshipping me was to please me, I know and I accept that. Because your desire was pure, it will be fulfilled. Since I am controlled by prema, nothing is impossible for my prema bhaktas to attain." At this point, the Kripa Shakti mercy potency made the Lord's power more evident among the gopis, though the power was still under the control of prema and subject to the pastime by this power. Krishna understood the gopis were performing austerities in the worship of Katyayani to attain him, and thus he gave them the results. Gargamuni had said that Krishna was similar to Narayana, but now gopis thought Krishna is Narayana. Next verse, the desire of those who fix their minds on me does not lead to material desire for sense gratification, just as barley corns burned by the sun and then cooked can no longer grow into sprouts. Now Krishna said, if someone worships me impurely or improperly, I can make that offering pure because I am full of good qualities. What then to say of your absolutely pure desire and pure love? The desire of one absorbed in me does not lead to material desires for sense enjoyment, because the object of love is the topmost spiritual entity. It results in the disappearance of material desire. Just as barley corns roasted in the fire can never grow new sprouts. Praya means for most parts, means just as na ischyate, are not capable of causing, not capable of sprouting. But please remember, he is using the word prior. That means in some cases it can be, but which will be with the intention or the will of the Lord. That can also happen. Next verse, 27. Go now, girls, and return to Braja. Your desire is fulfilled, for in my company you will enjoy the coming nights. After all, this was the purpose of your vow to worship Goddess Katyayani, O pure-hearted ones. That means he gives his benediction. Now here what is happening? The Rasa dance cannot take place with Krishna. Is there? Now I'll. Okay. Thus the Rasa dance was free from. Here, please remember the gist of it. This is a prelude to Rasa dance, and what Krishna is saying in the coming year, that is after 1 year, when we dance together, that is in the Rasa dance, it will last for a whole night of Brahma, and you will attain great happiness in that, and there will be no kama, there will only be rasa. Thus the rasa dance will be free from kama. The person will not obtain material happiness arising of lust by concentrating on Krishna, since he is the highest goal, being composed of the highest happiness of prema, or they will not get satisfaction. Yes, they will, but concentrating their minds on me, the desire matures into the highest prema. Let us desire to marry. You come true, and thus we can be happy in the rasa dance with me as the upapati, which was explained by me. The rasa dance cannot take place with Krishna as their husband in marriage. That is, this has been described in very, very great detail in Ujjwala Nilamani and other courses that you understand. We'll talk about it in the Rasa Panchadhyaya. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, being in mind that the most auspicious time for lovers' first tryst is the night. Krishna speaks like this to the gopis. Krishna said, "O women, although you were perfected Siddha, you have taken the role of sadhaka to increase the sweetness of my pastimes on earth. And in the near future, you will enjoy with me and thus fulfill the purpose for that you undertook austerities in worshipping Durga or O pure women." Now, this is very, very important. This is a prelude to the chapters 29 to 33. Now, the next. (29 to 32). Sometime later, Krishna, the son of Devaki, surrounded by his coward friends and accompanied by his elder brother Balrama, went a good distance away from Vrindavana herding the cows. When the sun heat became intense, Lord Krishna saw the trees were acting as umbrellas by shading them, and thus he spoke as follows to his friends, boyfriends. Lord Krishna said, "O Stoka, Krishna and Amsu, O Sridama, Subala, Arjuna, Vishala, Vrishabha, Ajasvi, Devaprastha, and Bharuthapa, just to see these greatly fortunate trees whose lives are completely dedicated to the benefit of others, even while tolerating the wind, rain, heat, and snow, and they protect us from these elements." Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur would say these verses indicate that even trees who are dedicated to the welfare of others are superior to Brahmanas who are not. Krishna observed that while tolerating rain and scorching sunshine, the trees would continue to shelter others from rain and heat. And Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are saying, though having described the mercy given to the young girls, Sukadeva now begins to speak of mercy given to the wives of some ritualistic Brahmanas. That will come up in the next chapter, that is chapter 23, lesson 56. It was summer, since the hot summer sun was described. He was with Balrama along with coward boys who play an important role in their circle. And he is also called Devaki. Okay. He is also called son of Devaki because the wives of the Brahmanas live near Mathura and were. Now this story will come up. I am not going through that. We'll go to the next slide, 33 to 36. Now see how these trees are maintaining every living entity. Their birth is successful. Their behavior is just like that of great personalities. For anyone who seeks everything from a tree never goes, they were disappointed. Those trees fulfill one's desires with the leaves, flowers, fruits, their shade, roots, bark, and wood, and also with their fragrance, sap, ashes, pulp, and shoots. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others while with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words, thus moving among the trees. whose branches were bent low by their abundance of twigs, fruits, flowers, leaves, Lord Krishna came to Yamuna river. Now, Lord Krishna here, he is praising the trees. They are living, but they cannot move. They are in one place only. But still, then, how they are serving everybody, all the other living beings. Not only the human beings are getting benefited from them, even the other animals, they are getting benefited from them. The birds make nest and stay there. The animals, they take shelter in their shady, in the shady trees. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying the trees are like generous persons, Sujana, who are intent on serving guests. Whosoever approaches them to ask something never goes away disappointed. Nirasya means sap, asti means pulp, the young shoots. One should use his life to serve others. They passed among the trees with branches bent low from the heavy weight of their fruits, flowers, and trees. And then I think this is the last slide. The coward boys let the cows drink the water, as we said in the previous slide. They went near the Yamuna river. Then what happened? The coward boys let the cows drink the water, cool and wholesome water from Yamuna. O King Parikshit, the coward boys themselves also drank that sweet water to their full satisfaction. Then, O King, the coward boys began herding the animals in a leisurely way within the small forest along the Yamuna. But soon they became afflicted by hunger and approaching Krishna and Balrama and spoke to them as follows. This is prelude to the next chapter, that is 23. What Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, they are saying, the Yamuna water was naturally sweet, and in Vrindavana became most sweet. It gave happiness or auspiciousness. The boys drank after the cows because they considered the comfort of the cows over their own comfort. And the Supreme Lord gives so much importance to the cows more than themselves or the human beings. Or they drank directly the water using their hands, not cups. And there is a prohibition of not drinking water using the hands. But this rule does not apply to the cowards. They are not subject to the rules and the forbiddenness. What is given in the Vedic literature, they are not applicable to them because they are the Ragatmika Bhaktas, devotees of the Supreme Lord. O King, as your main job is the protection of the citizens, their main job was protecting the cows, not considering personal comforts. Thus they drank later. Because it was so tasty, they drank fully. For unlimited cows came from afar to Yamuna after wandering a long time in many places. Finally, the water became disturbed by drinking. Thus, the water lost its coolness and clarity and should have lost its sweetness. But it was still sweet tasting. That was its greatness. And they were herding the cows in the groves of Asoka trees, and this will be mentioned later. This infers that the trees were without fruits. According to the cows, they be herded by the cow. They will herd the cows, wondering they developed hunger because of drinking the water and having no fruits in the trees in that forest. And with the desire to eat, they were suffering. And though it was not possible for them to suffer from hunger in the presence of the Lord, this happened by the will of the Lord to give mercy to the wives of the Brahmanas by begging food from them. The boys' hunger actually meant the boys were afflicted by thinking that Krishna and Balrama were hungry. And they came close and spoke, since speaking about this from a distance would be embarrassing for them. And this chapter ends abruptly in the middle of the story because Sukha became momentarily stunned on remembering the details of the present pastime, or he remained silent for a few moments to give understanding that this topic was confidential, and this applies to the other stories also. With this, I come to an end of today's class. Now I will stop here, and the session is open for questions and answers. Toward the end, I only gave the explanation of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur instead of others to save time. I am sure you must have gone through all the slides, and after the class also, please go through the slides once again. Then you will be able to relish what is given, because Prabhuji has put so much of efforts in making these slides, and as you saw, it took the whole time in just reading out only. I could not give much explanation to the verses because actually everything is given in the slides. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Now the session is open for question and answers and comments. Hare Krishna. Any question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat
So
Pranam.
wonderful class Prabhuji. So wonderful class. तो प्रभु जी ये जो लीला थी उसमें कृष्णा की एज बताई है 6 ईयर.
Age, okay.
हाँ प्रभु जी.
Okay, I'll just tell you the sequence. Like as we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva does not give proper sequence. Now the proper sequence is for the Acharyas. Now the Govardhan Leela, then the Brajavasis going to the Varuna's kingdom, then stealing the Gopi's garments, then accepting the offering of the sacrificial Brahmanas, which will come up in the next class. All this happened in the 8th year. He was 7 years plus. And 1 year later, that is the Rasa dance took place. That is in the 9th year. That means Krishna was 8 years plus. This is as per Laghu Vaishnava Tosani of Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami also says that Venu Gita, which we studied yesterday, that is chapter 21, it was in the month of Aswina. Lifting Govardhana was in the month of Kartika, and stealing the garments happened in winter. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he has a little different thinking. He said, Lord Krishna, he lifted Govardhana on the 7th year in Kartika. Next Janmashtami turned 8 years on Rasa on Aswina, full moon night. But Sanatana Goswami says holding Govardhana at the end of 7th year, stealing the garments of the gopis in his 6th year. 6th year means 5 years plus. Yet he admits that this and the Brahmana's wife's episode happened in the Kaisora age. That means there are some differences, but overall we have to understand that Krishna was say 6 to 7 years old, and the gopis were about 2 years younger, that is 4 to 5 years old. That we can take. This is what is about the age of these gopis versus the age of Krishna. And as we learned, the Krishna's friends who had accompanied him, they were much, much younger, about 2 to 3 years old. Yes, Prabhuji.
Now remember, actually, when the very first class, when we started Vraja Leela, I gave a rundown of what Krishna's different ages. Kaumarya, Pauganda, Kaishora, and so on like that, and different Leelas corresponding to that. If you go back to the slide, you will see that. And see, it's very difficult to see that age-wise, you cannot compare Krishna. Krishna can act at the same age, much senior than the ordinary human boys, So as you can see that even his Kaishurya kind of aspect of it was already apparent even at this age, you know. So basically, this Leela took place around 6 years age or so. But that doesn't mean that he was like a 6-year-old boy. Okay. And his class, these boys that he took with him, they were not his regular kind of boys, you know. He particularly chose 2 or 3 years boy that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, although other acharyas don't agree with that. Basically, that particular pastimes, he chose their boys, you know. So you have to understand that with little grain of salt, you know. And remember, towards the later part of the chapter is basically giving a preview of what is coming in the next week. Okay, chapter 50, lesson 56, chapter 23, that I'm working on it right now. So he is taking, right, in this chapter to the boys far away from Vrindavan. Okay, going very close to Mathura, actually, you know, and that is where the hot sun, summer is now building up completely, you know, a very hot sun, and that's why he's coming to the trees to take shelter, and he's glorifying the trees for that purpose, you know. But then he's going to go there for a bigger purpose, because that's where the Brahmanas and their Brahmanas and wives, the ritualistic Brahmana, they're performing some yajna near that village. He's taking all the boys there, actually. You know? So everything is stage wise building up, you know. So you have to understand from that point of view, and you cannot compare Krishna like any other human child. Okay? He can be just a newborn baby, and he is thinking like an adult man. Remember when we saw that Govardhan, actually you're not seeing Govardhan Lila. Govardhan Lila is coming up pretty soon. There he is barely less than 7 years old, because Govardhan Hill he lifted around 7 years old, you know. So right at that stage, at such young age, he is arguing with his father and all the elderly Gopas that look, that you are celebrating, you are doing this thing to please Lord Indra, okay, Indra Yajna, sacrifice for Indra, and very, very methodically argued and proved that that is not right, okay. All the needs that we have is provided by Govardhan Hill, so we should worship that. And the cows, that's our dana, that's our actually the currency, you know. So the Godhan, you know. So we should worship cows like that. So you have to understand, even at that tender age, he was talking so much with great wisdom. Everybody agreed with him. He is so convinced the entire the senior Gopas like Nanda, Upananda, and others, you know. So you have to take it. Krishna is, he could be very, very intelligent. He is very intelligent, you know, even at young age, irrespective of age, his wisdom is there, you know. So with that kind of thinking, you must have that, okay. But you have to, what you need to take, I would suggest, is to his instructions. Very, very important instructions is giving all these lessons, actually. And these lessons are building up step by step by step. And it building up ultimately for that that Rasa Leela. Okay. Okay. Rakshamataji, do you get
Yes,
that?
yes, Prabhuji. Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
So
I
you cannot go exactly the age wise, plus the humans compared to human baby at that same age, he's much more mature, you know.
Any other question or comments?
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji, I
Prabhuji.
like this statement very much. One should use his life to serve others.
Yes.
So wonderful line. So
Otherwise,
powerful
human birth is not worth living if you cannot make difference in people's lives. It's not worth. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
Yes,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so it is a mention that type of gopis, different types of one type of gopis here. They were Nitya Siddhas, right?
Yes.
They differentiated. And these gopis eventually they were present in the Rasa dance, right? Rasa dance. They were
Yes.
present there
Yes.
after
Actually,
1 year.
Rasadans, married gopis are there actually. Srimati
Yeah.
Radharani and others, these girls are young. See, the notable girl in this group is Dhanya.
Then,
You must have heard name Dhanya
yes.
before also, Dhanya is one of the unmarried girl here,
Yeah. So in one place it's a mention they also called Radharani there, right? To take a bath.
Yeah, that's what when I was preparing, the thought occurred to me that they invited Radharani. And Radha was
Yeah.
there. How could Krishna could lamp blast this gopis? Radha was there actually. So it's really something to think about it. But basically, this is a leela. Okay. So
Yeah.
I think you're missing the important instructions in all these lessons. Prabhuji had to cover a lot of material here. So it was very difficult to do it in time and still need to explain important lessons here. Just note there are four different points are there. Okay, when he is subjugating these young girls, such tough. Okay, he's testing their resolve, determination. What was their goal? To have Krishna as their husband, right? Okay, so they wanted to make sure Krishna is making sure that do they have that strong determination, and to what level is testing them. He's subjecting them to real ridicule. That verse 22 tells us, right? Despite they were plainly lambasted, completely.
True.
How tough test is taking that total surrender, unconditional surrender. Okay, he said, "I'll not give cloth until you come out." And when they're already they're embarrassed because they're totally naked, the girls. And remember other things. There is mentioned earlier, the girls were fully developed. So it's not like they're 6-year-old girls, okay? They are already past puberty, but not fully developed. So my guess is about 10, 11 or something like that. But you don't consider the chronological age. Okay. The point here is that he's subjecting them to such a very strict standards, and they passed through that. Even when they're ready to come out, okay, and they're hiding the private parts with their hand, they said, no. You committed an offense against Varuna Dev because you are not supposed to take bath totally naked. So you should actually now pray. So both your hands should be above your head. So in that condition, they have to come there. So to that point, he's taking them, testing them. And remember the gopis situation. On one hand, obviously they are very embarrassed. On the other hand, they love him very much, and they wanted him to be their husband. So ultimately, the thinking was that he's going to be our husband. So in front of a husband, why we should have this kind of feeling, that kind of embarrassment, So they are coming there, but they were being tested very, very tough. So that is what we need to understand. First of all, our determination in our bhakti process, our determination has to be very, very strong. Unwavering surrender, that Krishna demands that from a devotee. And he takes tough tests only when you are making much more advanced. Not the newly developing devotee, he is very, very merciful, okay? But when you reach to that level, seniority level, maturing, then it takes a tough test because the rewards are also very high. He's giving you his pure prema. He himself surrenders unto you, Krishna. Even goes to the level to, he becomes a subordinate to that kind of devotees. So you have to understand that. And then final thing takes place. That okay, so he was very pleased by this, their total surrender, to the point they were put through that kind of embarrassment and all that things. So he appreciated that. The girls passed top class in that. And then he said, okay, you will get your desire fulfilled. So actually what happened there, Krishna doesn't marry them actually. He marries them in Gandharva marriage. Gandharva marriage is what? Only the boy and a girl. Nobody is there. Okay, we discuss in other courses also. Gandharva marriage means the girl married with Krishna, but no witness, nobody, no Pandita is there, no parents are there, nobody is there. Okay, so that kind of marriage he conducted with his girls. Gandharva marriage happens, so I think let's have some more questions from all of you. But I wanted you to understand the instructive points are there.
Prabhuji,
yes,
just
Prabhuji.
last question. Yeah. Last question I have is that it's a mention that Durga, and internal energy, external energy. That confusion I don't understand. What was the?
Let me clear that confusion. It is defined very clearly here. This Durga we are talking about here, these girls worshipping Mother Katyayani, goddess Katyayani, is actually the expansion of Mata Parvati, Durga. But that Durga is not Mahamaya. Even though girls addressing as Mahamaya, but it's explained by our acharyas that Mahamaya is not the external potency, but the internal potency, Satchit Ananda. So that is Yogamaya. Even though addressed as Mahamaya, so it is confusing, but our acharyas make that very clearly. It's not this external potency, because here we are talking about very, very high level Krishna and the high class devotees. And that's obviously that is Yogamaya. Mahamaya is for conditioned souls. And these girls were also Nitya Siddha girls were there. Okay? Nitya Siddha means perfect beings. So
Okay.
you have to understand that. Yeah, what was your final question?
No, I think you answered that, Prabhuji.
So it was not external potency, but the internal potency, Satchit Ananda.
Yeah. Okay.
Prabhuji, it is also said spiritual world ki Durga Ma. Spiritual world ki Durga Ma.
Yeah. So this Durga, in fact, is addressed as Vaishnavi. She is the great devotee of the Lord. Yogamaya is doing these things.
Any other question or comment? We have got a lot of time.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, what is Pulinda Gopich?
Hare Krishna.
What is Pulinda Gopich?
Pulinda.
Oh, those are the Adivasi girls actually, Bhil community. If Pulinda woman is that's the the natives there living. Actually, in our Gujarat we have this Bhil community.
Adivasi.
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 So yes. Those girls are there.
Yes.
Any other comment?
They live in the forest.
प्रभु दूसरा ऐसा क्वेश्चन है, मगर ये सब्जेक्ट से रिलेटेड नहीं है, मगर कि कोई एक नारी जो है वो संन्यास ले सकती है और वो व्यासासन पे बैठ सकती है?
Loaded question.
This is actually
there's a lot of discussion about that.
Yeah, actually this is happening in Kali Yuga. But the scriptures, nowhere in the scriptures it is permitted. There is no scriptural authority under which this is happening. But one thing is very, very clear. For a girl to get married, to remain unmarried, that is not permitted. Now, in this connection, I want to tell you a story from Mahabharata, a very authentic story. In Shalya Parva of Mahabharata, there is a story of Vruddha Kanneka Upakhyan. It is a story of an old lady who is not married. Now, who was this? There was a sage known as Kunigarg. He had a daughter. His wife had expired. And in due course of time, Kunigarg Muni, he also died. Then this girl remained alone in his ashrama. And in his ashrama, there was also nobody. So she said, okay, I'll keep on doing penance here. And doing penance for a large number of years, she became old. Still stayed there. But one day a thought came to her mind, if I die, nobody is there to dispose of my body. What should be done? And she said, then while alive, I should immolate myself. I should prepare a fire and ascend on the fire and light it. And with that, with all my karmas, I'll go to the Swargaloka. Now, when she was about to do that, Narada Muni came. Narada Muni asked her what she was doing. She told him, Narada Muni said, since your all sanskaras have not been performed, as you know, our 16 sanskaras, they are to be performed in due course of time. The last sanskara is the while one dies. Now, since sanskaras have not been done, you can never go to the Swargaloka, even to hell also you cannot go. That is your state. Then this girl asked, what should I do? Then Narada Muni said, you do one thing, you go around, if you can marry somebody, then only you will achieve your aim. Then what she did, she went away from her ashrama and at some distance, she found a lot of rishis there doing yajna there. He went there, offered obeisances to the Munis, and she told her story. She said, if anybody is ready to marry me, then I will give away all my piety, everything I have earned in penance in those years to him. Then what happened? There is one Galab Muni, his son Sringavan, he came forward to marry him. Then the marriage was performed. But what happened just after the marriage, the moment the marriage was completed, this old lady, she turned into a very young maiden. And she stayed with her husband for one day. The next day she went to Swargaloka. That means in our Shastras, it is, as I told you the story from Mahabharata, the girls, they are not allowed to remain unmarried. They are required to be married. But the boys, they can accept the life of the sannyas also after they have graduated. That means that is allowed to them. But for them also, if they think they will not become a vanaprastha, not become a sannyasa, not become a grihastha, not belong to any ashrama, that is not totally allowed, because the Lord does not allow that. You have to be in some ashrama at any point of time. So this is what is as per the Shastra.
तो प्रभु जी, जिसकी शादी नहीं होती, जो अनमेरिड है अभी की सिचुएशन में, तो उनकी गति क्या होगी?
इनको गति तो नहीं होगी, दुर्गति.
हाँ.
This is what is in the Shastra. We cannot make our own rules. What is given in the Shastra, that is the what is it guiding to us, and we should follow that. Even if
तो
we
प्रभु
don't
जी
like.
वुमन जो है वो प्रीचर तो बन सकते हैं ना?
Yes, preaching can be done. There is no doubt about it. But one cannot.
But preaching, it doesn't have, you don't have to have a sannyasa to be a preacher.
यस प्रभु जी, मगर वो व्यासपीठ पे नहीं बैठ सकते ना, मगर व्यासपीठ पे जो बैठते हैं वो सब सन्यास तो नहीं होते ना?
No,
जरूरी नहीं है, नहीं.
No, proper Vyasapet, that is not allowed as per any scripture.
अच्छा.
That is, I am very, very clear on this point. But Vyasapeta is a different thing.
Is a representative of Vyasadev, in our ISKCON, that is the feeling that, by the way, ISKCON this is a hot issue about to get sannyas diksha to women or not. Now they started giving that. There was a lot of controversies about there, As you know, have you heard the name Jahnavi Devi? She was the
Yes,
only
Prabhuji.
known example. She was only known example having that kind of.
Nityanand Prabhu's concert.
Yeah.
Janma Mata.
Jahnavi Devi was the one receiving the diksha for that kind of thing. But it's very rare, very rare.
प्रभु जी
Now
गंगा
ISKCON,
गंगा गोस्वामिनी जी भी ऐसी है.
yeah, ISKCON now it started giving diksha to women now. There's a very hard discussion was going on for that for a long time. Okay. So I guess there are no more questions. So, are there any questions? Okay, then we should conclude the class.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Then
Krishna.
Pranam told you. So wonderful class, Prabhuji. Sarad Prabhuji, thank you so much. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladala Dadaine. Praladala Dadaine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatanka Nakhalaye. Shilatanka Nakhalaye. Hito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Hito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. Bahir Narsimha. Hridaye Narsimha. Bahir Narsimha. Hridaye Narsimha. Sarase Mahamadim Sharanam Prapade. तव कर कमलवरे राखा अद्भुत श्रृंगार ललित हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा केशवधीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय हो नरसिंहदेव 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 जय हो नरसिंहदेव जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की जय हो। भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जय हो। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। सर्व डिवोटी की जय हो। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। दंडवत प्रणाम टू ऑल डिवोटीज।
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sharad Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Sir
Thank you,
Prabhuji. Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Chandrabai.
Thank you.
Thank you, all
Thank you
devotees.
all.
Thank you,
Uh,
Mataji.
Chandra Prabhu, Char Chandra Prabhu ji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Namaste, Pranam Prabhuji.